Hi, welcome to Berries in Bloom. I'm Katie. I'm happy you're here. If you're new to my channel, we are a homeschool family. We've been homeschooling for 10 years. We lean Charlotte Masony, but we are more true eclectic homeschoolers. And I like to share all things homeschooling and book-related content here on the channel. So today I want to talk to you about writing. When I started homeschooling, oh my gosh, the thought of teaching writing gave me such major anxiety. I myself was a natural writer and I had no idea how to teach writing to my children. And right up there with math, it just was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to teach and communicate effectively so that my kids learn how to write? And so I thought today what I would do is talk to you a little bit about our journey with writing and specifically the resources I've used with my daughter, who is in 3rd grade this year, to intentionally teach her how to write in a way that would preserve her love of writing. She is my most natural writer. She's my one that will write for fun. And as she's gotten older, I've been very mindful of making sure that it stays fun and engaging for her. And I don't want it to seem like a chore, because like I said, I want her to keep that love of writing alive. So I'm going to start with sharing about what I have intentionally done with her to preserve that love of writing. And then I'll go into a little bit more about the curriculum we used and the journey that we've taken with my son, who is my guinea pig. He's a 9th grader now. He's the one I started homeschooling when he was 6. And so yeah, like I said, he's been my guinea pig. So I'll talk to you a little bit about our journey with writing with him and as well. So to start with all my kids, I start them in the kindergarten pre-K age with handwriting. And we really like the Good and the Beautiful handwriting. We had tried handwriting without tears, but it uses a double line method. And for one of my kids, it was really hard for him to understand that double line method. He needed that dotted middle line as a reference point to know how to correctly size and space his letters. So we started using the Good and Beautiful, found success with it, and we've just stuck with it. What we like about it is that every day there's little art projects. This one is color each plant, draw more stuff with it. This one, there's a maze on this page. So there are mazes, dot to dots, finish the picture, color the picture, copy the picture, etc. And we really like that. It also has that dotted middle line. Oh, wrong page. Right here, that my kids need for that reference point. And we like that it includes copy work of scriptures, famous quotes and sayings, and positive messaging. So anyway, and this level is level 3. It's where they introduce cursive, and we like that they use the rainbow. So you follow the colors of the rainbow to learn how to write in cursive. And my daughter will be starting this probably in February. I think she has like 10 pages left in level 2, and then she'll start this. And I know she's excited to learn cursive, and she also is my artistic kid. So the fact that she gets to follow the rainbow is gonna be top tier for her. Some of the other things that I do in kindergarten first is I have them do copy work. And I simply have them copy sentences out of the early readers that either they are reading or that I'm reading with them. And so like Little Bear or Frog and Toad, I love Frog and Toad so much. There's a little story in here about how like Frog doesn't want to do anything all day. He just wants to stay in bed. And every time I read that story, I'm like, I can relate. So anyway, but I just have them pick a page and they just copy a sentence in a notebook. And that's what they do in kindergarten first for copy work. Okay. The value of copy work is that it helps them understand sentence structure without direct teaching. It helps them kind of internalize what a sentence is. So in 2nd grade, I had my daughter use these Draw Right Now books. This is a set of 8. These ones are in print. They have come out with 4 of the books in cursive, but I'll show you one of these. And what these Draw Right Now books are, they teach you how to draw something, a main subject. Right here, this is about a girl jump roping. And then there are 4 sentences that correspond to the picture that you drew. So this says, jumping rope is fun, jump rope fast or slow, try jumping with a friend, start a jump rope team. And then sometimes there's a little question at the bottom that says, do you know some jump rope tricks? And so I had my daughter do 1 page of this a day in 2nd grade. And there were 2 things that happened. One is that, like I said about copy work, she internalized what was needed for a sentence. So she learned that you start a sentence with a capital letter, you end with punctuation, and you need a subject and predicate. Although she didn't know subject and predicate, she just understood that what was needed for a complete sentence to not sound like a fragment. And a byproduct of using this as well is that she has developed a huge love of drawing now. And she will draw for hours and hours on the weekends and the evenings. She loves Art Hub for Kids on YouTube. She recently found an app called Simply Draw, and she just has developed a love of drawing. And I attribute that to using this in 2nd grade. So by the end of 2nd grade, she was writing her own stories for fun and adding illustrations to them. And I think I can attribute this to her doing that. So we also started notebooking in 1st grade. We have been using Around the World with Picture books from Beautiful Feet since 1st grade. We did just Asia in 1st grade. Then we dropped off and did none of it in 2nd grade. I developed a little unit on Russia that we did, and then we picked it back up for 3rd, and it has been such a great year. I'm going to do a whole separate video on Around the World with Picture books because it has become our favorite thing we've ever done. But it's fun because I can now compare her writing in her notebook from 1st grade to 3rd grade. So let me show you a little bit. So as we were learning about the countries, every country you get to learn about the animals that reside in that country, and then some countries also have like famous people or famous events you can learn about, but at a minimum, all countries have animals included that you learn about. And what I would do is I would either read a little book to her about those animals, or we would watch a Wild Kratts episode or a YouTube video, and I would have her orally narrate to me what she learned about that animal. I would write it down, and then she would copy it in her notebook. And that's what we did for 1st. Let's see if I can show you. So here's her little narration about a rhinoceros. She did this in 1st grade. And then, like I said, in 2nd grade, we didn't do this. But now that she's in 3rd, this year we have completed Australia, and we're right smack in the middle of African countries. So she has started doing her own animal narrations this year. We're no longer doing the step of her orally telling me and then me writing it and then her copying it. She's just straight doing her own writing about the animals. So let me show you. Okay, this is when we were learning about Tanzania and Kenya. So she wrote about the bongo. This is Jane Goodall. Okay. And then for Ghana, this is her narration about the African lion. And this one is the hippopotamus. So she gets a lot of practice with informative writing through notebooking. So far for 3rd grade, I still help her narrate a little bit when we're learning about things like when we were studying Australia, the Sydney Opera House. I helped kind of helped her with her narration for the Sydney Opera House, but she does the animals completely on her own now, and I am guiding her towards, by 4th grade, doing all of her narrations in here independently, not just the animals. But this has given her a lot of great practice for informative writing, and it's been fun. And honestly, this is going to make such a cute little keepsake. When I do my Around the World with Picture Books video, I'll kind of do a flip through of her notebook because this has been so fun and such a great way to write across curricula. Okay, so some other things that she does this year in 3rd grade. Oh, sorry, I grab a bunch of stuff. She's using this Q&A a day for kids 3-year journal. So there's a little journal prompt for every day of the year, and you can use this for 3 years. So every year over the 3 years, you answer the same prompt, and it'll be fun to see how her answers change over the 3 years. And I think this will also make a fun little keepsake when she's done. So she does this every day, and she really likes this too. We have this little bookworm journal. It's a reading log. So as she reads books, or we read books together, she can write her little log in here. So this is when she finished The Tinker's Daughter by Wendy Lawton, and she gets to rate it, and then she gets to basically say what she thinks about it. And then every day, or every time she fills this out, there is a different activity. So this one was about new vocabulary. This one was to make the little hat and stuff on the bookworm. This one, there was a maze. So every day there's excuse me, I keep saying day. Every time she fills out the log, there are different activities like that. Oh, this is fun. She wrote down a word that begins with each letter of the bookworm's name. So anyway, and then as she finishes, she gets to eat her way through the journal and tear off little pages. And this is so cute. This is listed as a resource with the Guest Hollow Language Arts. That's how I found this, and it's just so cute. And honestly, it's a great way for her to keep a reading log without her having to write book reports. I'm not a fan of the book report. I love to read personally, and if somebody told me I had to write a book report after every book I read, or even every 5th book I read, I probably would not read as much as I do. So I'm not a fan of the book report. So we really like this, and it also gives her a little bit of extra writing practice with opinion writing, because she gets to write her opinion about the books that she's reading. So I think this is really fun. And then at the beginning of 3rd grade, she went through this Usborne, My First Story Writing book. I think she went through this in 2 or 3 months. She really enjoyed it. She was doing a 2-page spread a day, and it was great to introduce her to narrative writing and story writing, because there's all sorts of prompts in here. So it tells you what are characters thinking about, speech bubbles, doodle a character, describing things, how does it feel, creating a scene, what's in an action story, what's next, etc. And then it taught her about how to begin a story, what's in the middle of a story, how you end a story, what's going on, how do you make a title. And so it was just a really great way to gently introduce her to writing stories. This is a cute little spooky story. I apologize if you hear kids singing upstairs, because I can hear them. I don't know if you can. This is a funny little story about a vegetable garden. It was just, yeah, it was cute. I'll just read it to you because it's so quick. A farmer went to his garden. He saw a huge turnip. He couldn't pull it. He finally got it out, but an eye opened, and then another eye. It was evil. It grabbed carrots and threw them at the farmer. But the farmer grabbed a pitchfork and killed the turnip. They ate it, and their bellies stayed full every night. So that's an example of her story. And that reminds me of Stregonona. I wonder if we read Stregonona close to when she wrote that, because that's fairly reminiscent of Stregonona, I think. Maybe it was a different story. Anyway, But this was great to get her writing every day and to be creative with her writing, and she really enjoyed this. Once she finished this, she used mystery writing from the same creators as Mystery Science. It's a new writing program that just came out this year. Right now they have writing instruction for grades 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it includes instruction on opinion writing, narrative writing, and informative writing. There are guided lesson videos that are about 20 minutes long, and there are worksheets that go with every video. In the video, it guides them through filling out the worksheet and writing in that style. So she actually just completed mystery writing last week. She did opinion writing in October, informative writing in November. We took a break in December and did Christmas school. And then in January, she did narrative writing, and she's done with it. So we're going to do some different things for the rest of the year. And I think what we're going to do is do some more of these Usborne books. I have more, but I just grabbed these as examples. I think I have every Usborne Write Your Own Story book that they sell, because this is such a great way to teach creative writing. I used this adventure stories book with my son when he was in 7th, the one that's now in 9th. And he wrote some fun stories in here. This is a new one, obviously, because his was used. But just really, really like these. And I think they're great for helping kids be creative in a really fun way. And I don't correct these. I don't correct any of my daughter's writing, actually. Occasionally I'll help her with, like, remember to put a capital letter there. Oh, maybe you need to spell that word differently. Occasionally. But with these, I just read them. I don't critique her at all. I don't edit them, nothing. I just literally read them and say, great job. I really enjoyed this part. And I think that is also a reason why she loves writing, is because she gets to just express herself and it doesn't turn into a lesson. And I'm not, like I said, like critiquing her writing. So I think that's another element to why she has become such a great writer. So that's what we have done so far with my daughter that is in 3rd grade this year. And if we have access to mystery writing again next year, I probably will have her continue with mystery writing next year. Of course, we're going to continue with our notebooking. We are going to be using Around the World again next year. And so she'll continue with her notebooking. For informative writing, she'll continue going through these and continue with mystery writing. I don't see us changing for her because we've had such success with help with these resources and her writing across these resources. So like I said, no reason to change if it's working. So that's the plan for her moving forward. Although I did get Write by Number that we're going to be using next year, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So now that I've talked about what I'm using or have used with my 3rd grader, let me tell you about the curricula that we've used with my guinea pig. So like I said at the beginning, writing caused me such anxiety. It was like I was just so fraught with anxiety. So the first thing that we tried, I think he was in like 2nd grade, I got Write Shop Junior, and the little manual came. It had a little worksheet pack that came with it, and I opened it up, and I think we were like 2 or 3 years into homeschooling at that point, but there were 32, if not more, I remember 32, that number's in my head, introductory pages, parent pages that you had to read to understand the program, understand the scheduling, do all the prep work. And when I was still fairly new, that was so overwhelming to me. I literally, like, I opened it and I tried and we did one lesson, and then it sat in my box of shame with all the other unused curricula until I finally sold it. So I know a lot of people like it. This is not a knock on the program. It's just that number of pages for introduction was too much for me. So then we tried Essentials in Writing, EIW, and I liked Essentials in Writing. There's a video that he watched. There were workbook pages he would fill out. Half the year was grammar, the second half of the year is writing. He did great in the grammar portion. I barely had to help him at all. But once we got to the writing, I was helping him every single day, even though there were video lessons. Mostly because he didn't know what to write. So we got to the point where we were doing that little brainstorming session where you have the circle and the little bubbles that go off of the main idea. And he couldn't think of what to write. And I found that I was having to spoon feed him and tell him exactly what to write for his ideas before he could even start writing. And it was getting to feel like a lot of work on my part. And that was not what I wanted when I bought something like EIW. And so I had done a lot of research and decided to try IEW, Institute for Excellence in Writing. I know they sound the same. Same letters, different order. And we had success with that. I think he started that in 5th grade because I think we did 2 years. Yes, we did 2 years of Essentials in Writing, and then we went to IEW. And we use the Writing with Structure and Style courses, which are video lessons taught by Andrew Pudewa. And the way IEW works is there's a source text that your student reads. They make a keyword outline sentence by sentence from that source text, and then they rewrite the story using their keyword outline. And then they learn dress ups along the way, like ly adverbs, strong verbs, quality adjectives, who, which clauses, etc. So they learn all these like dress ups, as they call it. And I think the reason why he found success with it was because it took that what do I write equation out of it. Did I say that right? Yes. Anyway, we didn't have to worry about that anymore because he just was rewriting stories from a source text. Now, by the time you get to the end of the unit, which is 24 weeks per level, or per year rather, he was writing independently from an assignment in IEW. So we found success with IEW, and he has used it for 3 years. He did level A, year 1, and we split that over 2 years. So 5th and 6th, and then 7th, he took a break and he just actually did Usborne writing. And then in 8th grade, he did level B, year 1, and this year in 9th grade, he's doing level B, year 2. And I still highly recommend IEW. It's still probably one of the top recommended writing curricula that I recommend to people. However, for my own kids, especially my 9th grader, I've not seen a lot of skill transfer. So what that means to me is that he can sit and do his IEW lessons and complete a lesson and do well with it. But if I were to ask him to write about a book he's reading, like right now he's reading Frontier Living by Edwin Tunis as part of his history, and that's the book that he said he's enjoying the most. So I'll use that as an example. If I were to ask him to write me a 5-paragraph essay about Frontier Living, I don't believe he could do that. And if he could, it would not be to the same quality as what I'm seeing in IEW. And so I'm on the fence with him. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I did get Write by Number, and we're going to be using that next year. And I know for a fact I'm going to be using it with my daughter, who will be in 4th, my son, who will be in 7th. I'm on the fence about my son that's going into 10th grade next year. And the reason why I'm on the fence is because Write by Number is a mastery program. There are 12 steps, and I looked through it, and it will take us a few years to get to the 12th step, and he would need to get to the 12th step by the time he graduates high school. So I'm on the fence with him. If I just use Write by Number with him, or if I have him do Write by Number activities, but also do IEW, either level B year 3 or level C year 1 next year. And I'll make that decision before school starts next fall, I have time. But Write by Number, I will do an in-depth flip through of that when I start filming my curricula picks for next year. But the reason why I got Write by Number is because I wanted my kids to write across curricula. IW has the writing assignments kind of contained within itself. And like I said, I want my kids to be able to write about the history or the science that they're learning about. And Write by Number kind of does that, because all of the writing assignments, they just say like, write a sentence, and you can pick whatever topic you want. But you have to write, you know, a power sentence, and then you have to add a second power sentence, a third power sentence, etc. Like I said, when I do that video, I'll explain the terminology. But essentially, every single day that you assign writing with Write by Number, they get to pick the topic they write about. And you start at the sentence, one sentence, and then you add two more, and until you perfect those, you don't move on. It's mastery. So that's why I wanted to use Write by Number, is I was hoping it would help us in writing across genres. My plan for my son's going into 7th grade next year is for history. He's just going to be reading a lot of books, and I want him to read and write about his history. That is my goal for him. My 3rd grader that will be in 4th will continue with her notebooking with beautiful feet, and I'm hoping to get some strong narrations in her notebook by using Write by Number. So I'm just on the fence with my older son. But anyway, that's been our experience with writing so far. And like I said, my 3rd grader, out of my 3 kids I homeschool, my 3rd grader is the one that loves writing the most. So the last thing I'll say about writing is I feel like you can't be a good writer if you're not reading a lot of books. Because that, like, reading novels is how good writing is modeled. And so I like to say, if you want your kid to write by Shakespeare, they have to read Shakespeare, and a lot of Shakespeare, to internalize the structure of Shakespeare itself, and then they can write by like Shakespeare. So I say, if you want your child to write like Jane Austen, have them read Jane Austen first. That's the starting point. So I do say that if you want your kids to be good writers, you should be reading to them from a young age, and read to them every single day. And by the time they get older, writing will be a little more natural for them. And I think that's another reason why my daughter is such a great writer. I've always read aloud to my kids, but her specifically, she was only 8 months old when I started homeschooling my son. And so she has essentially been raised around a literature-rich homeschool environment. And I often wonder if that's why she loves books and writing so much, is because she's grown up with those. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful to you to see some of the resources that we have used, and been able to preserve a love of writing in my daughter. Like I said, I will do a more thorough flip through of Write by Number when I'm doing my curricula picks video, and then look ahead for my Beautiful Feet Around the World with Picture Books video that I'll be filming very, very soon. Because like I said, that's my favorite thing ever, and I have a lot of resources I use for it. I'll probably try to batch film a bunch because I just got my eyebrows and my nails done. So it's like the best time to film. So anyway, if you see me in like the same outfit in multiple videos, that's why I'm gonna probably like have to schedule my videos around when I get my eyebrows done. Anyway, but I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.